Hello and welcome to this half-hour masterclass that we are taking you through your dosha types. So joining me today, I have Renata, which is the founder of Healing Hints, and she's very graciously donated her time to take us through a journey of understanding the three dosha types. So I'm going to hand it over to Renata, who's going to take us through each type, and I'm going to just pop in and ask some questions. So the point of this conversation is to get you, the beginner of the individual who's going through this self-discovery journey, their Ayurvedic journey, their mindset journey, give you as much rich resources and information that you feel empowered to make the right decisions for your body. We also have a post that accompanies this video that talks to you a little bit more about our individual journeys, and maybe you can relate to us. So there's different ways to learn and how to come into full circle with listening to your body. You either have your experiences, which are negative, and they're the catalyst for your change, which is my story, or you have an intuitive spiritual guidance, which is Renata's story, which she shares beautifully in the accompanying blog post that you will see connected to this video. So without further ado, I introduce you to, welcome back, Renata.
Oh, thank you so much, Aileen. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and to just share, all of these helpful tools and modalities that just bring people closer to optimal health, just enjoying themselves within their bodies and whatnot. So thanks for providing me this time to share all of the goodness that Ayurveda has to offer.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
before we get into our conversation, I just want you to give a little bit of a background on what you do over at Healing Hints and how you came into the game.
All right. So at Healing Hints, we are focused on providing women the opportunity we guide women to connect with their inner selves, to align with their inner intelligence. Our bodies are super intelligent, and coming into alignment with what our bodies need is how we achieve optimal health. So at Healing Hints, we help women from the ages 20, 21 until like ages 45. So if you're menstruating, hoping to conceive, you're pregnant, or you're going through postpartum, Healing Hints is a place where we help you to optimize your health, get your body back into balance, whatever your goals are and what your needs are. So if you go through a health evaluation with us, we pretty much assess what your imbalances are and kind of meet you where we need to meet you in order to bring your balance back to your body. In addition to all of this, we help women prepare for a desirable labor and birth. And what women usually express is that they want a normal physiological birth. And what that means is it's just a natural vaginal birth without any interventions. And this is the most ideal route to go, because from no to little interventions, just because of obviously the immense benefits that you get. The healing process is faster, the connection with your baby is better, your body does not undergo trauma, right? And so we aim to help women kind of achieve their ideal birth experience as well.
I love that. It's like
Yeah.
an angel doula. I love that so much.
Oh,
And the reason why I'm bringing this conversation to Energetic Insights is because on my end, as a burnout coach and helping and supporting women through mysticism, through understanding their cosmology, which is like what makes up their body and their responses and their patterns, we look a lot at the habits, which are kind of automatic. And that's what you're going to help us understand a little bit more, because people connect to personality type, right? They'll say, oh, I'm a workaholic, or, oh, I drink a lot. Like they'll attach themselves to their patterns and then formulate a personality around it. And we both know that the real way to achieve, a conscious transformation is to move away from that and to create new beginnings. And new beginnings come with new information, new supports, and creating a new level of understanding and awareness for ourselves. So we are not just workaholics. We are not just, women doing this. We're not just, what we are doing, but we are human beings
much, much more.
embodying a beautiful experience, right? So I know
Mhm.
that some of my clients have very very toxic behavior patterns that they kind of hide away and they don't like to talk about them because, there's a lot of shame and judgment associated to them. So like eating, when they're not really supposed to be eating, drinking to excess, smoking to excess, taking drugs, sleeping pills, anything that they kind of can get to fill in the gaps of any level of discomfort. And I thought that talking about the doshas is like such a gentle way to help them build a good foundation of education, of moving away from excessicity, if that's a word,
Mhm.
excess, and thinking of their body constitution in a new and honorable way. So let's start
Yeah.
with the first dosha type.
And that's beautiful. Understanding the doshas according to Ayurveda is just a beautiful way of just honoring your body and getting a better understanding of your psychophysiological makeup, right?
Mhm.
And so that's what basically doshas are. They are your unique bioenergetics that as it relates to your psychophysiological makeup, right? It's what your natural tendencies are mentally and physically, right?
Mhm.
And so at birth, we are born with our own unique amount of doshas. So we all have the three doshas within our bodies, which is vata, pitta, and kapha, and they're all related to the five elements. So vata is air and ether, pitta is fire, and kapha is water and earth. And so it's just important to remember that we have all three of these bioenergetics within us. However, one is usually more dominant than the others. And that is the one that we need to get to know because that is the one that is likely to go out of balance if we engage in certain lifestyle factors that align with that or that are more sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? That are more likely to, or characteristic of that dosha type and kind of rein it back in.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I love this conversation so much because those of us that burn out and we burn out to the maximum usually have a high constitution of fire. So it's
Yes.
learning how to balance that element. And that really surprised me because coming from an astrology point of view, being a water sign and having so much water in my chart to learn that I had this fire constitution, it's not that I lacked fire in my chart. I actually have a lot of fire in my chart. It's just not like what I would have considered my predominant type.
Mhm.
So then it teaches you that the ego doesn't know everything, right? There's so
Right.
much that's operating underneath the surface. So let's start with that body type. And in terms of like getting to know what these types our individual types may or may not be at this moment, how can they inform better decision making for us?
Okay. So shall I start with Vata?
Yeah.
Shall we dive in? Okay, let's dive into Vata. So people who are predominantly Vata tend to be slender, thin wrists, thin ankles. They have a tendency towards dry and brittle hair, dry and brittle nails, nail breakage, dry skin, and whatnot. And so when you think about the qualities of the elements, air and ether, you would describe them as being dry, light, clear, cold, right? So these are the qualities of these elements. And you would find those qualities in Vata people when their Vata is in excess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a predisposition to this, right? And so it's important for people who are Vata to pay attention to these physical characteristics. And so you'll know, oh, I have a Vata imbalance, trying to get it back, rein it back in. But mentally, people who are predominantly Vata would have a tendency towards more anxious feelings, nervousness, and whatnot. Their
Chaotic
minds,
mind. Yeah.
okay, very chaotic minds. They're on to the next idea and they're very creative beings. It's really fun. They love being spontaneous and just kind of winging it, or they're always on the go. And so they're very active, high energetic people. The way they talk may even be fast. The way they walk may even be on the quick side, right? And so people who are Vata, it's very important to find grounding practices because their nervous systems are very easy to go out of balance, where they
Mhm.
tend towards anxiety and nervousness. So for people who are of the Vata constitution, it's important to, yeah, practice grounding, journaling, yoga, nice, warm, um, grounding meals like sweet potatoes, stews, and whatnot, right? So that is really going to help pacify the cold, dry, light qualities of Vata. So a key takeaway here is you want to do the opposite of your constitution, so that you're pacifying the cold, dry qualities of your
Exactly.
predominant dosha, right? So for example, if you're eating a lot of chips, ice cream, smoothies, I mean, smoothies are wonderful. They're healthy. They have all these healthy ingredients. But for a Vata constitution, to have a smoothie first thing in the morning is not doing your body a favor, because your body requires a warm, nourishing, grounding meal, not a smoothie, because a smoothie is cold. That means you are amplifying your Vata qualities and therefore can throw you out of balance.
Hmm. So for this dosha type, where would you normally find these highly intellectual, highly talkative, very intellectually charged beings? So we're looking at our Gemini, Aquarius, and Libras, which are the air types. So
Yeah.
normally these are working in sales positions, I assume, creative
Yeah.
design, maybe web development, sales development, maybe even teachers. I would
Mhm.
say like, we find these types in positions where leadership is important to them, right?
Absolutely. I was going to say those who have to deal with, who are creative teachers, and marketing and whatnot, you would usually find a lot of these types, but not necessarily, but they tend to lean towards positions that entail a lot of creativity, lots of brainstorming
Mhm.
and ideas, right? So, yeah, very
Absolutely.
intellectual. Hmm.
And I can see the burnout here in where they don't know how to exercise balance in terms of knowing when to talk and when to
Hmm.
listen, because they're so intellectual. They want to finish people's sentences. They want to fill in the gaps. So they get so uncomfortable when there's nothing being said. They don't like when, I would say, maybe water, like the element of emotion, comes in and they're like, oh, I got to do something. I don't want to feel this way. Even though
Yeah,
they can pinpoint to it, they don't go super deep with it, but they don't really sit with it. And that's creating a problem too, right?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and you know what? The whole thing is that understanding your constitution, and if you're Vata, is just bringing more awareness to what your tendencies are. There's no good or bad, but there is a thing such as an excess of Vata energy, and just learning to pinpoint when that energy is in excess and kind of helping you come back into balance, right? So there's nothing negative about it. It's just noticing when it's kind of gotten out of control.
Yes. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
just remembered now, like when I used to work in courts, everything would be so serious and you had to be very detail oriented, very logical. And you had to be in that energy because
Hmm.
it meant someone's life, someone's career. It was very important. It's very hard to turn that off when you walk through the door. It's very
Yeah.
hard to go from like such a high level of intellectual arrest and concentration, and then whatever commute and transition you have to get home, and then start to kind of power that energy down. So how can we, support people that are trying to bring this into more awareness and more balance, where they know where they're shifting environments? Like, how can we support that shift in environmental changes so they're not bringing their stress home?
Well, grounding practices is number one. I feel for Vatas, you need to really pay attention to where your nervous system is at. And Vata governs our nervous system. It governs everyone's nervous systems, right? That is the energy or the dosha that governs our nervous system in everyone. And because it has to do with movement and communication within our bodies, right? And so, and making sure that we regulate our nervous systems through meditation, lessening the stimulation that we are exposed to, really following a routine. Routine is so important for vatas, and trying to work in the times of grounding and settling in and whatnot. And there's a whole thing in Ayurveda about daily routines and the different types of energies throughout the day and the most ideal activities that you should be doing throughout the day. But I would say for Vatas, definitely stick to routine.
Mm-hmm.
Routine is so needed to make sure that you are
Absolutely.
getting in that grounding. Yeah.
Because these are practical people, right? They have that
Hmm.
earth and air energy. So if you are relating to this and this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, I do that, and you're getting that guttural response, listen to that. That's, indicator number one that you're connecting with your body, and reach out to Renata. We're going to move on to the second dosha type.
Yeah. So the next one is Pitta, and this is related to the element of fire. Those who are Pitta tend to have a body type that is medium build. They tend towards a muscular build, or it's easy for them to build muscle. It's also easy for them to put on weight and as well lose weight, but they tend to maintain a very moderate weight throughout life. Um, their hair has a tendency to thin, become oily, might have a red tint. They walk at a good pace. They are very well thought out. So the way that they make decisions, they are very analytical. They're very goal oriented, very ambitious. They've got like this drive to keep working and working hard and achieving something, which is great. Their digestion is really strong, so they have a really good digestive fire. So they are able to break food down effectively. However, they eat too many spicy foods or things that are very much like fire, like the qualities of fire. So like hot, sharp, and taste like sour and spicy and pungent foods would throw someone's pitta dosha out of balance, right? And so you don't want to consume too much of the same thing as your constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some things for pittas to watch out for in terms of food. In terms of lifestyle and lifestyle choices, because they're so goal oriented and so focused on achieving and whatnot, it's important for pittas to recognize this and to set aside times throughout the day to intentionally rest. It's very hard for pittas to just rest because they
Yeah.
don't feel productive, but rest is productive. And this is something that they need to remember.
Yeah, and they have a lot of their worth wrapped around their productivity, which is
Yeah.
what causes a lot of burnout for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other
And
thing too,
so, mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
And the other thing too, this is my favorite dosha, as you know. The other thing too is because we're looking at the element of fire. So we have your Aries, your Sagittarius, and your Leo. This is big energy, big energy that likes to take up space, and it needs to be able to have an environment where it can go all out. And
Mhm.
it's an element that likes to be in service, right? We're thinking about the
Yes.
heart here. So they deeply care. They deeply
Mhm.
care of the outcomes of their work. It's not really work that's driven to be selfish. It's because they want a bigger outcome for society. So they put a lot of their emotion, a lot of their heart behind their work. And when things don't go that way, it can really plummet that energy down and really burn you out. So this is a really important conversation, especially for entrepreneurs. Pay attention here, because not everything is about materializing the goods. Sometimes it's just about feeling the warmth, feeling connected to your mission, and just being like, my why. I got to connect to my why. And remembering that and rejuvenating from that why is so important too, on an emotional level, right? And then
I
that will
love that.
help to tie and connect everything. And this is like a type, I know so many that their generosity sometimes gets them in trouble because it's so easy to be giving. They're giving time, they're giving resources, they're giving everything that they got, but they're not always getting it back, right? So they tend to burn out quicker because of their generosity. And then on the shadow side of that, they can also have this tendency to kind of go overboard with partying, drinking too much, not really knowing the limit, because it's like once something that tastes good and feels good and it's pleasurable enters the body, it could be like a good glass of wine. It could be like, I don't know, whatever your, pick your poison could be. Once that feels good inside of, like, I would say like a fire constitution or like a pitta, maybe, it's like, oh my God, I want more. And it's really hard to pull back from that because it's almost like this like greediness to like have more and more and more when that fire is out of balance. And I find that with a lot of my clients that like are going through burnout, they party hard. And it's
Yeah.
like,
And
okay,
that's horrible for your digestive
yeah.
tract when it comes to like the physical aspects of somebody who's predominantly pitta.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
making lifestyle changes is something we need support in because it's
Yeah.
not easy because there's so much
Yeah.
emotional attachment to everything that we're doing in our life, right?
Absolutely. I
Okay.
totally agree.
I love it. Okay. So let's move into the final dosha type.
So the final dosha type is kapha, and this is related to the elements of water and earth. And so when you think about kapha, you think about stability, right? And so they're very dense, they're very cold. So these are some qualities of kapha: dense, cold, heavy. And so when it comes to those who are predominantly kapha, these people are more curvaceous. They have luscious hair. They're almost epitome of health. However, um, those who are kapha have a tendency to gain weight easily, and it's hard for them to lose it as well. And they have a tendency, they have a crazy sweet tooth. So that could work against them sometimes. But with kapha, emotionally, they have a tendency to go towards depression, which is like a very heavy, dark, and dense emotion. Or yeah. And the way that they deal with stress too is they kind of they're kind of reclusive. They kind of feel withdrawn. Whereas pitta, they're fiery, so they're irritated, they're angry, and whatever. So they have a tendency towards that. But kapha is kind of deal with stress very differently. Um, and so, yeah, those who are predominantly kapha, it's important not to consume too many heavy and sweet foods because sweet is predominantly a kapha taste. So you want to make sure that you're incorporating stimulating foods. So foods that are lighter, that are dry, that are spicy or astringent. And so it can combat the imbalances of kapha. Um, so yeah.
Okay. So what is
That's
the
kapha.
difference like between kapha and vata?
So the difference between kapha and vata is that your body type, first of all, right? So vata is more slender, thin wrists, thin arm, thin ankles. They tend to have a larger frame. They're more curvaceous. It's easier for them to put on weight and lose it. And it's hard for them to lose it. Vata is light, cold, dry, and airy. And then kapha is dense, heavy, cold, right? And so those are the difference in terms of qualities
Yeah.
and
So
some physical characteristics.
what would be some great grounding practices for this dosha type?
So this dosha type actually needs more stimulation.
Okay.
They handle stimulation quite well. So, stimulating activities could be a good vinyasa yoga class. This does very well for this body type. Running, weightlifting. Um, so yeah, more stimulating activities are highly beneficial for those who are predominantly kapha.
So if you're going through burnout, what would be one sure way to start to like bring more balance into this energy type? I know that you suggested exercises, but which
Mhm.
types of meditations would benefit them most? Because I know these types, they're going to get bored. They're going to check in and check right out if you even get them committed to the meditation. So, what would be something that would like spark their interest enough that they would use their curiosity to move their stubbornness, to
Yeah.
move them, the hard to change types over to committing to something new?
Well, I have a few recommendations in terms of meditation. You would want to do meditation that requires movement. Yes, I know when you're breathing, you're moving, but incorporating more movement into your meditative practice. I actually just uploaded something today in terms of like a beautiful mudra flow. So the mothering lotus flow, where it incorporates your hands and movement in a seated position. And you just follow your breath by doing that for quite a few rounds. A guided meditation would be also something kathas could try, or walking meditation.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I was going to say like chanting too. Um,
Yeah, mala
gra-
beads.
Graduate from doing a traditional guided meditation to like introducing chanting because it's something both that would hold their interest, but at the same time creating that reverberation in the body
Mhm.
would be that transic state that they would need to finally achieve relaxation, which is like a beautiful thing. There's so many different types of meditation. And any opportunity I can get to remind people of that, it isn't just, Venus position or like you have your lotus cross legs and you're like, just staring into the abyss. It's a science, it's a proven science.
Yeah.
And once you engage with long-term meditation practices, you will see how different and how beneficial the practice is to sustaining well-being, longevity, joy, vitality, and bringing everything into balance and focus because the body will talk to you. And it was
Mhm.
in meditation actually that my body told me like I had an iron deficiency. It was in meditation that my body connects with me and I get insights as to what it is that I need to take more of or, give away. I stopped drinking because it came through in a meditation for me. So, don't discount meditation as something where you're just like, yes, you're going to try to calm down the monkey chatter in your brain, but also your body knows what it needs. It knows what it's lacking,
Absolutely.
right? So it's not like you always have to study everything and know everything, all those air types are like, I got to know everything. You don't. Your body has wisdom. So when you
Yes.
drop into meditation, believe the insights that are coming through for you. If you're like, I'm craving red peppers, or like you're like, for some reason I want to go and buy strawberries, follow that because it
Yeah.
means there's something in the strawberry that your body is desiring to bring back up into balance, right?
Not McDonald's, because
Yeah.
don't
Don't
follow through
follow
on
that
that one. It's
craving.
probably just missing like maybe some minerals or salt or something.
Yeah. No, but it's
Yeah, no, but
important when
yeah,
your body is
yeah,
craving salt.
it,
It's a very
yeah,
strong indicator of dehydration.
yeah, absolutely.
So drink water, don't go to McDonald's.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for this summary of
Thank
this little
you.
journey of traveling through the three different dosha types. Like I said, linked below is our blog, just giving a little bit more insight into our individual journeys, and we'll leave our contact information as well. If you're looking to work with a burnout coach, you know where to find me. And to take care of all those beautiful, nourishing body needs, we have our Ayurvedic counselor over at Healing Hints, Renata. So thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on eating for your dosha types in our next live.
Take care. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, Aileen.
You're welcome.
Take care.